It's Saturday. You know what that means. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of 2021 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Taboada, and once again, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a great and safe way of ringing in 2021. I know I did. At least tried to celebrate it to the best that we could as a family here in my home. But yes, 2021 is well underway, and we look ahead to another fun year of podcasting. And of course, a holiday break ended up being a week off, but you know what? A break is a break, and it was obviously well needed, well refreshed. And of course, what was interesting is, obviously we had to come back this week because of what happened this past week in the world of wrestling. And of course, I know a lot of people have asked me, hey, Jose, when are you going to do more New Japan Pro Wrestling content? Are you going to have more? Are you going to have more to say about it? We're going to open up our year with New Japan Pro Wrestling because as most know, this past week was their equivalent to WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom 15 from the Tokyo Dome, the two-night event from January 4th and January 5th. So we get right into that and we discuss obviously the first big event of the year, which normally is the first big event of the year in wrestling across the world. Alex Wolfwoman, one of our popular guests in 2020, is back, and for the first time in a long time, we do have our good friend Alex Mirza also returning to the podcast. And at the end of our Wrestle Kingdom 15 discussion, we do discuss a quote from Okada that really had us shaking our heads a little bit. It got us going a little bit. So we get to that after the fallout. So in saying that, for the first time in 2021, all I can say is just sit back, relax, and enjoy our Wrestle Kingdom 15 fallout. And welcome to the first discussion of 2021. Wolf is here with us, and for the first time since May, I believe this is a double or nothing fallout predictions. Mr. Alex Mirza, welcome back.
Thank you. It's the return everyone's been waiting for. Finally, the Lex spot has come back to Under the Middle Rope.
All right.
I want to go. Okay, no, pick me out. I don't. Yeah, let's not. Yeah.
Let's put you back in the top. Let's put you.
You need one person who understands New Japan.
That's true. And that is, as I said in the introduction, a lot of people tell me that they want New Japan content, and what better way to kick off the year than Japanese WrestleMania. Of course, we're talking about Wrestle Kingdom 15, the now two-night event at the Tokyo Dome, which, before we go any further, I just want to say that I'm very happy that they did end up getting a decent crowd for both nights. I will say it looks like on the second night, the seating near the stage was shortened, but the fact they still got fans in there, very quiet with their masks on, still somewhat close together, weirdly enough. But I don't know how it is in Japan in terms of the COVID situation, but I think we can start off by saying, thank goodness that it wasn't an empty dome at the end of the day. Because I'm sure that with North American WrestleMania now on its way, I don't even want to imagine what it would be like with a closed big stadium environment. So I'm good that we got that for this big show. But anyways, yes, Wrestle Kingdom 15. We are not going to be talking about the whole card. We're not going to talk about the cards. I mean, some matches, they had us,
don't matter.
Like for example, Sonata and Evil. That was a match. That was fun. We don't need to talk about
fell asleep during that one.
We don't need to talk about the four-way provisionals KOPW 2021 trophy that Yano retained. Good for Yano. I like Yano. I would gladly buy a DVD for 5,000 yen off of Yano. I think we all would. So we're only going to be talking about the more important matches, or the matches that stood out to us because one, they went long, but two, once again, and I feel like every Wrestle Kingdom, when it comes to the main event or the semi-main event, they never disappoint. And once again, we did get back-to-back nights of incredible action. So we're going to start off with the first match that really stood out to us from night. We're going to start with night one. Obviously, we're going to be skipping. Of course, of notice, Takahashi and Phantasmo, amazing. Guerrilla to Destiny defeating the Dangerous Tekkers, that was great too. But Kenta Kojima was fun. But yeah, I want to specifically narrow down Okada and Ospreay. 35 minutes of just wild stuff. Incredible matchup. A lot of dangerous spots. I believe it was that match with the table, was it not?
Yep.
With Ospreay taking an ugly
I think it was Ospreay taking a nasty bump, and those tables are not.
No, that was Okada. Okada.
It was Okada. Sorry.
Yeah.
Those tables, regardless, those tables are not WWE friendly. So Lex, let's start with you on this. I'm very happy with the Okada win. So Lex, let's go off with you on what you thought of the match.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite match of night one, at least. That was the match to beat after the show was over, definitely. I think it was a really great match. It was another classic, Okada Tokyo Dome performance. The Tokyo Dome always seems to bring the best out of Okada. He's had kind of an up and down year so far ever since the lockdown. They came out of lockdown ever since he lost the belt to Naito at last year's Wrestle Kingdom. It's been sort of it's been a mixed year for him. As someone who's been watching since they came back from lockdown, one of the main stories with Okada is that he's sort of been trying to lean away from using the Rainmaker, his famous Rainmaker finisher, as his finishing move. He started using the money clip submission to mixed results, you might say. In a lot of ways, it cost him the New Japan Cup. It cost to Evil. It cost him the King of Pro Wrestling trophy to Yano. It cost him a lot of big G1 losses. So it was definitely sort of something that was holding him back a little bit. It wasn't enough to beat Ospreay in this match, obviously, and then finally at the end, he did bust out the Rainmaker. The crowd, despite not being able to cheer very loud, you could hear the audible gasp and the reaction from the crowd, even though they couldn't really cheer when he finally hit that Rainmaker and beat Ospreay. As for Ospreay, he did not look like a slouch in this match. Heavyweight Ospreay and junior heavyweight Ospreay, we're seeing a very clear difference between the two. He was still doing a lot of his classic Ospreay moves, a lot of his great high-flying attacks. But it was a very different match style that we've seen Ospreay have in New Japan ever since becoming a heavyweight. Definitely his coming out party, I'd say, as a full-fledged New Japan heavyweight. Despite losing to Okada, I think that was the right result. Okada did say in his interview that the saga is just beginning between them. He's sure they'll have plenty of more matches down the line. Maybe Ospreay will finally get a deserved win over Okada. The one in the G1 intentionally wasn't very deserved. But I can't wait to see what Ospreay and Okada do from here. They both come a long way. They both look great in this match, and I'm sure there's going to be more classics from Okada as time goes on, because after all, it is Okada.
Wolf?
I think Rocky Romero put it best that, Okada hasn't had the 2020 that he should have had, and, none of us have. But it's mainly because he kind of turned his back on who he was. Like, he didn't go into full multi-clown balloons Okada with the red hair like he did when he lost the title to Omega. But, he hasn't been himself. He's been using the money clip, which is a really good-looking submission move, but it's not Okada. We needed the Rainmaker. And at the end of the match, we got the Rainmaker, and that's why it worked. Like, frankly, it's a good story to tell. I'm not sure, if he should fall back on just using the Rainmaker from now on, but I like the story behind Okada realizing what he needs to do to put away that little piece of shit Ospreay. Well, Ospreay definitely looked like he was in his element. I kind of wasn't a huge fan of Bea Priestley being out there. I feel like, New Japan is where we don't go to have the woman on the outside distracting, because that just feels like such a WWE trope that, New Japan successfully avoided for a long time. I mean, I know they did it with Brandy Rhodes for a little bit there too.
You forget that.
I just wasn't a fan of that. I don't know. It just feels like a cheap way to. It just feels like a cheap distraction and not the New Japan style. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it doesn't really fit with what New Japan normally does. So all in all, I really enjoyed this match. I found myself glued to the TV. It's easily one to beat for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, when he hit that Rainmaker, I was out of my seat. I jumped out of my seat, yes! It was awesome.
At 4 a.m, yes.
But on the Bea Priestley thing, real quick, if I could just add one more thing.
Go.
One thing I loved in that match was, we've seen the spot before in WWE matches where the valet is distracting the babyface. The heel rushes in on the babyface. He moves. The heel almost hits his own valet. Because we can't do man on woman violence in WWE anymore. But he almost hits him, or the heel gets knocked into the valet by accident, and we see the valet take a bump, and that's usually a big pop. But in this match, Okada just straight up, B was on the apron. Okada just grabbed Ospreay and threw him into the. He did not care. He just threw him right into Bea Priestley and knocked her right off the apron. I thought that was awesome. Just boom. Okada does not care.
Now, Now I think it's known. I mean, especially since in the year that I had on this podcast in 2020, the New Japan is not my strong suit, and it's mainly because yes, the time differences play a big role. I unfortunately get lazy in streaming. I feel like one of my resolutions for 2021 should be to use my friend's New Japan account more frequently. Like thankfully I do have a friend that has a New Japan World. He lets me log into it anytime. I should take advantage of it more. But in saying that, you brought up a
Folks, don't
point.
pay for subscriptions to anything. Just always find someone else's password.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's a lesson.
But in saying that, I mean, Lex brought up a really good point
Trust me,
about.
I'm on Lex's Netflix.
And insane. You have his Netflix?
No, you don't.
Well, whose Netflix did I log into?
I don't know.
I thought there was a weird login on mine. No, but what's his point, right? I mean, I do go in, like, what I do every year is I do go into Wrestle Kingdom blindly, which is a plus, which is a con, because I mean, like, it's a plus because you don't know what to expect, and you're in with a very, very open mind. But then there's also a con because you don't know the stories. And for me, going into this Ospreay Okada match, when I saw the money clip, I was asking my friends, what the hell is this? Again, as somebody who's going in blindly, because again, as I've seen, this is now, I believe, my fourth Wrestle Kingdom that I've seen, maybe third. I think it's my fourth Wrestle Kingdom that I've seen, and all I've seen from Okada is Rainmaker, Rainmaker, Rainmaker. Holy crap, right? So when I saw the money clip, I'm like, what is he doing? And then eventually, and then to hear and then this is another thing that I said earlier about the crowd, how important the crowd is to be at these events, to hear the crowd react to the Rainmaker, as per Lex's point, you're going, okay, this is big because what he just did is significant, which is why I was such a big fan of it at the end of the day. As for valets, I'm gonna get into the valet point later on in the card, because there was one moment from night 2 that really triggered me with valets. But I guess I didn't mind B's role there. I thought the spot was hilarious, just throwing Ospreay into the mix. I mean, you're kind of safe on both levels. You don't have like the man directly hitting the woman, indirect. Actually, scratch everything that I just say. Never ever condone that kind of violence. So I just want to be very clear.
Well, this has been my final appearance on Under the Middle.
Good. All the best. Thank you for attending all the past episodes. Lex, you're up. But overall, yes. I mean, for somebody who went in blindly and to get the story told in the ring, which I know New Japan does extremely, extremely well. Thank you, as a blind fan. So it helps help out a lot. But seriously, resolution. Get more into this. But the one story that I do know that has lingered over past Wrestle Kingdoms and G1s is the main event of night 1. Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito finally, and it's weird to say finally, but I'm happy for the guy who has finally become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, the Intercontinental title's gone along with it, but he's IWGP Champ, and I know that I've seen this guy win G1s, lose. I know he lost at last year's Wrestle Kingdom despite being a G1 winner. I know he's come closer. I know he's flirted with the thought of it. The guy is 38. The guy acts like wrestles like he's 20, but he's finally it is his first, right? If I'm not mistaken, it is his first big moment. And again, I remember seeing him in New York when the three of us went to the Supercard. April 2019, which is going to be 2 years. Holy crap! And it was amazing to see him in person. It was like, from what I saw in the crowd, I can't remember which one of you met him personally. It was Wolf, and I remember you saying that that he really wanted to communicate with you, but just the language barrier was obviously there and whatnot. He was very nice, very outgoing. So I'm really happy for the guy. I thought it was a great match once again. Overall, I mean, it was one that didn't feel long. It was one that felt like it was flowing nicely. And Ibushi is just a tank. It's just a tank. And I can only imagine what this would have been like if it was evil, judging by everybody's reaction in 2020. Lexi, let's go again with you on the main event.
I mean, yeah, like you said, we got to see Ibushi and Naito in Madison Square Garden. Obviously, we've seen them fight before. Their other big match was in Osaka-jo Hall, and now finally, for the first time, they're fighting in the Tokyo Dome. And of course, whenever these two fight, there's always a level of like, who's going to almost break their neck, who's going to get almost dropped down, who's going to get dropped on their head, like whose brains are going to get scrambled. Like it's always some kind of. You always know when these two fight, there's going to be someone's going to get hurt. And of course, the big story of this Wrestle Kingdom was whoever wins this match then has to defend the belts again the second night against a fresh Jay White. So the story is what's going to happen, what condition are they going to be in at the end of this match? And it was another great match between them. I don't think it was quite on the nail biting level of like their Osaka match. And of course, I can't really compare it to the Garden match because we were there in person. So obviously, there's a very different energy when you're there in person. But I remember, that match was freaking fantastic in the Garden. And they, pulled out all the stops again tonight, or for in the Tokyo Dome. These two just have a great chemistry. They've always had fantastic matches. And as far as Ibushi, his first heavyweight title match was in 2015 against AJ Styles, which, as a lot of people remember, the story of it at the end was, when Kenny Omega was a member of the Bullet Club and he was expected to help AJ win, and of course Ibushi is his longtime, friend and soulmate and everything, so he had to, very reluctantly help AJ beat Ibushi in that match. And that was sort of what led to, and when Ibushi lost, that's sort of what led to him leaving New Japan for a while, doing stuff on the indies, going to WWE briefly, and then eventually coming back, having put on a ton of muscle, in the Cruiserweight Classic. Yeah.
Oh, right!
Yeah. Forgot about it. People forget that Ibushi technically had a run in WWE. So he finally came back. He had that three-way match with Kenny and Cody Rhodes. We saw him lose to Okada last year in the Tokyo Dome, another fantastic match. And now finally it's his time. He's finally, achieved his dream. He's become God, as he keeps saying. He holds both belts. He's finally, like you said, he's almost 40 years old. He's, one of the most respected, names in Japanese wrestling. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. And I think finally, it was finally his time to, reach the very top, be the top champion in Japan. And I'm really happy for him that he finally achieved that goal before, like we say, he's a very high risk individual. So, he's had so many brutal matches over the years and he's almost 40 now. So we don't know how much longer his in-ring career is going to be. But he finally was able to, catch that purple dragon, finally capture the heavyweight championship. And I'm really happy for him and I can't wait to see what he does with it.
Wolf?
I think the real big feud going into Wrestle Kingdom this year was Kota Ibushi versus his own neck. And, he came out on the winning end of that one. Oh, and he also beat Naito. That's pretty cool. Look, Kota Ibushi, I've met him. Wonderful guy. Going into this, I was rooting for him. It was weird because Naito wasn't heel. And that's the thing about New Japan that I really like. The dynamics are never like a huge thing. It's never like a make or break thing. Like you have heel versus heel, and it's not a huge deal. They don't focus so much on the storytelling as much as they focus on, as my Adobe Flash player pops up to remind me to update. Oh God, I'm being taken off the page. I don't know. It just said do you want to reinstall Adobe Flash? Why do pop-ups exist in 2021?
It's no longer being supported. What are you talking about?
6 days into the year.
Whatever. What was I talking about? Kota Ibushi, yeah. The dynamics in New Japan, if you watch Dangerous Tekkers versus Guerrillas of Destiny, there's not any clear one that you should be rooting for because they're all kind of bastards. And going into this, there's people, that you should be rooting for Naito, you should be rooting for Ibushi, and you're not wrong to root for either one because they're both good guys. So anyone could pick either of these guys and be totally justified for it. Because they're baby faces. I just thought it's definitely Ibushi's time. Naito had a good run, other than the 10 minutes he lost into Evil, which a blip on the 2020 radar that still doesn't make any goddamn sense to me, but whatever. Frankly, it was Ibushi's time. He put on a hell of a match. Might be one of the best that I've seen between him and Naito, but again, it's hard to really judge since I was there for the Garden one, and we both had shots of whiskey before the show.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't end up taking. No, I was good.
Yes, you did. I have a video that I will send to every single person that watches this podcast.
I recorded you guys because I said I was good because I kind of wanted to go in a little, not that I was drunk, but I wanted to go in clean for the most part and just enjoy the Garden experience because I was going
clean like I offered you crack.
I was excited. I didn't want to. It's weird because I didn't want to drink because I was telling myself, oh my God, I'm about to step into a childhood arena that I wanted to always be in. I'm going to the freaking Garden. There was a song about it. Going to the Garden.
Oh my God. No, we are not bringing that song back up again now.
The point is, I mean, to Wolf's point, I mean, for me, the blind fan, it was hard to tell who was face. I didn't even realize Naito was supposed to be a heel. I know in some other matches you definitely noticed it. I know you noticed it with Ospreay. You definitely noticed it with Jay White. We're gonna get to Jay White very soon because I know I have a lot to say on that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was more of like just hope, just a story, just hoping for. Oh, we lost Wolf. Okay, great. As I'm talking with Lex, YouTube live record. I'm not live on YouTube, but when you record stuff, folks, anything and everything will happen. So as I just sit,
getting a very raw experience here.
As I sit with Lex here, but what I was saying is I was really going for the story. I just want to see, Ibushi with the title because it felt like one of those overdue things. I know in WWE we complain a lot about. There are a lot of people out there who be like, "Oh, it's overdue that they're X, that they're champ, that they're this, that they're that," and Ibushi, I think, was one of them. As we just got Wolf back, what happened?
I don't know. Chrome just closed.
Recordings.
My laptop is waking up for the year. It's like, oh, do you want to update Adobe? Oh, do you want to close Chrome? What is going on?
I'm just simply saying that I was rooting for the story and I was very happy for the story. And
by all means, continue with your conversation. Not worry about your best friend being kicked out of the podcast.
And Under the Middle Rope in 2021 is off to an incredible start.
Also, I lost Among Us. It kicked me from the server. Yellow was sus.
The more things change, the more things stay the same.
Well, as we move on, I think I'm gonna ask you guys. By the way, the other match I forgot to bring up at the beginning from night one, Tanahashi Okan. Again, also another great match. Like I said, I feel like we're gonna be just repeating the same things a lot. But out of night one, I think the Ospreay match was slightly better, not by a lot, not by a big margin. It's not Okada, Ospreay, all the way at the bottom, Evil and Sonata. No. It's by a slight margin with the main event. I would rate night one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'd say if you had to do the Daddy Dave Meltzer way.
You mean the father of frequent Under the Middle Rope guest and champion Nick Charlotte? Nick
Charlotte, yes, his father. I would say 4.5 out of 5 for night one. I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say 4. I'd say about 4 stars.
4.
I know a lot of people, are going to complain that, Naito still hasn't had, his big, victorious moment in the Tokyo Dome. He had it taken from him by Kenta last year. And of course, this year, he loses to Ibushi. But he had his big moment in Jingu Stadium. And, he got to enter the Tokyo Dome as champion, which I think is something everyone wanted for a long time. So, but I'll give night one a 4 out of 5.
I would give it a 4 out of 5 too. I'm not going to pretend that I watched the whole thing. I quite literally slept on a lot of these matches, as Lex can attest. Yeah. But I made sure to go out of my way to watch the New Japan Rambo, the heavyweight tag titles. What is so fun?
Who's a Rambo?
The New Japan Rambo. It's the New Japan Rumble, but they call it the Rambo.
Oh, the Rumble. Oh, sorry. I love me a good Rumble. Oh, the Ramble. Yeah.
What? You think Sylvester Stallone just came in and was like?
No, I thought maybe you were referring to
the New Japan Rambo.
You were calling Bad Luck Ballet Rambo. I don't know. I have no idea.
Whatever. Well, the point is, I went out of my way to watch the Rumble. The Rumble, we'll call it that. I watched the tag title match because I'm a forever GOD fan. I watched Okada versus Ospreay, and I watched the main event.
Can I say this? Sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
I'm just saying, again, I'm going to be playing the blind card a lot here. Seeing Tama Tonga and Tangaloa without their long hair and their beards, that should be illegal.
Look a couple of Jose's out there.
That is insulting. Now, it's...
It shocked a lot of people.
Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't look good on them. They look incredible. All right?
They look very handsome.
They look handsome. Yes, they do. But when you're so used to seeing them, it's like when Wolf complained last year during the Money in the Bank episodes last May that I had a little mustache going or I tried to do something. It just doesn't work.
Huh? I'm kind of a jerk.
You are a jerk, I know, but we bring you on here
And I'm
anyway.
your jerk. Like,
I was watching.
if I could, oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was watching with some people on night 2. One of them, is also a big Tama Tonga fan, and was similarly shook by smooth Tama Tonga when
So weird.
it started out on New Japan Strong on the US show. He came out, with a smooth Tama Tonga, no beard, and that was shocking enough. And then he comes out, and when they come back to Japan, he comes out with short hair. So that was sort of just even the icing on the cake. They're like, wow,
it just looks wrong.
Like,
let's go on.
If I can compare it to something, like if there's one episode of Parks and Rec, just one episode where like Chris Pratt just shows up and he's clean shaven for the entire thing, and they never talk about it. He's just like you don't recognize him as a scruffy dude, but like there's just one episode where he's like doesn't have the beard. I guess maybe he was filming a movie like on the day off or something, but it just threw me through a loop, and it always stands out. I'm like, something feels wrong about this episode. Like, why is Andy clean?
It's weird, but hey, the Gorillas of Destiny are still IWGP Tag Team Champions, so who cares? Let them. Oh, new. Sorry.
Yes.
Oh my God, guys, I am.
You did go in blind.
I am. Point is,
and they finally won at the Tokyo Dome.
They're handsome and they can shave whatever they want. Let's move on to night 2, which is the fun thing about Wrestle Kingdom. This two night layout. What a fantastic idea! It's worked out back-to-back years, and I'm sure it's a model they're going to keep following moving forward. Hint, hint. WrestleMania, it worked last year. Do it again.
Tight show done by 10.
They should have done. Once again, we're not going to go through the whole night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, but again, of note, I feel like we're going to talk about this one just a little bit in detail. Jeff Cobb's match, even though he lost to Shingo Takagi, holy crap! My God, one of the friends I was saying that he could see those two just go elbow each other for 30 minutes and he'd be happy and give it 5 stars. They are viciously strong, so stupid strong. Just my God. Lex, your thoughts on that match really quickly before we move on to the video?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I heard a lot of people saying they might have thought it was maybe the best match on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe I was like tired or something. I don't know what it was. I might have to go back and rewatch it. But like, I saw a lot of people saying it was their favorite match on the whole thing. So I'll definitely give it a rewatch. But no, yeah, those two both great. Jeff Cobb, he's stupidly strong. Shingo Takagi, he's one of the hardest hitters out there. He's not a huge guy, but he's crazy buff, crazy strong. They've had some great matches before, and of course this one in the Tokyo Dome, they went all out with it. Just hitting each other, throwing each other, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm glad Shingo retained personally. I'm a big fan of his. I think he brings a lot to the Never Openweight Championship. And there's definitely a lot of good stuff coming for both those guys.
Wolf.
I'm not going to lie and try to pull things out of my butt and say things about this match. I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights on YouTube. Would you rather me just say, "Oh, remember the part when he did the thing"? No. I didn't see the whole match. I saw a couple tours of the islands. Those are always fun.
Yeah, those are incredible.
An impressive move to always see. I've always been a fan of Shingo Takagi. He's got a great character. I love Jeff Cobb. Everything I saw about this, everything that I did see from this made me want to go back and watch it again, which I probably will.
Takahashi, Ishimori is going to jump ahead to that. Takahashi going back-to-back nights. I have to say, and this again, when I was talking to my friends about this match, they thought it was crazy. But for some odd reason, this match was 25-31. This felt like a 40-minute match, and I don't know if that's a good thing. Not that it wasn't bad. It was, to me, it was all right. It was like not the strongest of the weekend, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I looked at this match and I'm like, is this not over? And then my friends are like, what? I felt like it was 15 minutes. I'm like, what? What time zone are you living in? It did not feel like a 10-minute match as they were saying. And again, Lex, you're obviously you're the New Japan expert here. This is where I have to throw it to you and ask, how did you feel about that match in terms of the pacing?
Yeah, these two have had really good matches in the past. They were in the Best of the Super Juniors final a couple of years ago before Roma got injured. they have good chemistry. Ishimori is a freak athlete. He's crazy fast, crazy, athletic. Hiromu's one of the top stars in New Japan. In either division. He and Ospreay had a freaking blowaway match last year at the Tokyo Dome. This was not on that level at all. I don't think they did some impressive stuff for sure, but
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like I thought the pacing was not what it usually is for a match like this. They weren't doing a whole lot of high flying stuff that they're capable of doing. It was more centered around, I guess, Ishimori attacking the arm and hand of Hiromu. It was it didn't blow me away as much as I thought it was going to, just considering who's in it. I thought their match earlier this year was better. I thought the finish kind of came out of nowhere. The crowd wasn't really amped up for it. They hadn't really built to it like they usually do. I'm glad that Hiromu won the belt back. He's definitely, I think this year's Super Juniors tournament definitely proved that he is the biggest junior heavyweight star that they have.
Absolutely, no kidding.
So definitely that's the right move to do. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about it. It was a good match. I might have to go back and rewatch it, see if I'm missing something. But yeah, I don't remember it blowing me away the way I thought it might.
Wolf.
This is another match that I didn't watch in its entirety. I went back and watched the highlights. And, I've seen work from both these guys, and I've loved, both their works. This definitely wasn't the strongest showing, It just never really got to that point where you're at the edge of your seat and wanting to, keep going. It's more like, all right, this done yet? But there's other things I want to see on this card.
Yeah.
Granted, Ishimori has done more with the Bone Soldier character than anyone ever could be asked
Not
to
saying
do.
a lot, but yes.
Well, that's the point. That character just sucked years ago, and he's much better at it, and he doesn't need it. But I'm glad that he's an integral part of Bullet Club. I love what they're doing with him, to a degree. And these two do have good chemistry. I just don't think it was really on show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think as well, maybe the reason why I found it long, because I was just ready to see Ibushi and Jay White, because that was the match that obviously I think a lot of people, if not everybody, was looking forward to in night 2, which is why I kind of feel like, okay, is this over? Can I get to Ibushi? Is it time for Ibushi? Give me Koda.
When do we get to the fireworks factory?
Give me handsome Koda, which we will do right now. We're talking about the main event here. And I was saying, when I was messaging Lex, because obviously, I saw it. I didn't see it live. I saw it in the evening, both nights. I was telling, bless your soul, and I was telling Lex, I'm like, if New Japan has the absolute audacity to take the titles off this man after one night, I never want to hear them say anybody say that WWE is worse, because they would have done just that. I would have been pissed. I'm like, please, for the love of God, do not tell me they give him his final shining moment to be thrown away in 24 hours. Thankfully, they didn't. Thankfully, it's the longest match in Tokyo Dome history. I thought Okada Omega from a few years back was longer. Turns out they beat him out not by much. Another fact that I heard, that whoever is in possession of the G1 briefcase, the G1 winner with the briefcase that gives them the right to do it, they have never won at Tokyo Dome, which is a little bit ironic, because although Koda did win the G1, if I'm not mistaken, although Koda did win the G1, unless I am wrong, Alex?
Takahashi, he beat Omega in the Tokyo Dome. But
I don't think that was the original plan.
That's because Omega was leaving. That wasn't really. I think if he wasn't leaving, that would have happened. But
Omega was supposed to win and then face Koda at Madison Square Garden.
Okay, I knew. I thought there was something wrong, because I think it was the bracket saying that the winner of the G1 or who's holder of the briefcase never won the title at Tokyo. I'm like, that cannot be right.
Well, here, if I can compare it to something, remember when John Cena beat AJ Styles for the title at the Rumble? Tanahashi was just a transitional champion. They never really expected him to win. It was just
I'm talking about the stat itself, but the situation is the situation. I'm talking about the stat itself, and I had a feeling that the stat was wrong.
I'd hardly count it, though.
Apart from that, it is true. Apart from that,
he's John Cena.
What I was gonna say was that Koda was the winner of the last year's G1, but then Jay White won the rights off of Koda, right? So technically, you could say that a G1 winner did win the title, but he wasn't in possession of the briefcase. So it's like one of those, you can go anywhere with it. But I mean, like, look, it was a great match. I thought that was really well paced. I thought that felt shorter than 48 minutes.
Mhm.
But, and I'm gonna go back to what you were saying earlier about B Priestley in terms of valets, and I was getting a little bit frustrated during this match when I'm saying, okay, Gato, all right, you're a heel, we get it. Okay, you tripped him. Okay, great. Okay, there you are on the apron. Okay, cool. But when Ibushi hit that, what was it, a 650? What is it, a 450? What is it, 650 splash?
What the Phoenix Splash?
750. Do I hear 650? 650 going once, 650 going twice.
Was it a Phoenix?
Yeah, the
Didn't
Phoenix
look
Splash,
like
right? Yeah.
It didn't look like it. Looked like a crazier thing than a Phoenix. But anyways, point is, I thought the match was gonna end right then and there. I was like, okay, this is his win. Call it a night. I mean, not that I wanted the match to end, but I'm like, this is the perfect finish. And then Gato comes in, and I'm like, oh my! And then we did get another 10 minutes. But to go off to Lex's point, I think it was Lex that you said earlier, like, there are times you just don't want the valets to come in because you don't want that WWE-esque situation, and it came out to Wolf, and it came out to be just that, and you're like, oh my god. I mean, the rest of the 10 minutes, 10 minutes was fine.
Mhm.
It was great, and we still got a really great ending, but oh my lord, I mean, you cannot have pictured you cannot put together a better finish than that, and you're like, Gato, go away. Like, I was a bit bugged. I'm like, can we please not just let this end cleanly? And they didn't. And I'm like, you bastards. That was my only complaint about it. Aside from that, I am very happy that they did not slap Code in the face. I'm happy that he retained his titles. Lex?
So I know you said you didn't want to talk about Evil versus Sonata, but what you just said definitely feeds. It applies here. There's a point to this. Okay, just hear me out. Hear me out.
I will retract.
So I'm a fan of Evil. I know a lot of people aren't. I know when he won the belt, a lot of people were not happy with it. A lot of people did not like his matches when he was after he joined Bullet Club. A lot of people were not a fan of his matches. Most New Japan fans don't want to see the WWE like North American style of interference. All like referees getting bumped, distracted. All kinds of stuff. Pure New Japan fans don't want to see a lot of that, and that was. Almost all of Evil's matches involved that. He has Dick Togo on his side who would come in, distract the babyface. Use his steel cable to choke them and all kinds of stuff. And it does slow the pace of the match down a little bit. That doesn't really behoove New Japan's primary style. And we did see it in the Evil vs Sonata match. But outside of that, I like the story of the match. The fact that they're like brothers. They know each other so well. They were tag team partners for ages. I still think it was a good match outside of that. But that being said, I think in this scenario, the whole concept of Bullet Club from the beginning was here's a bunch of foreigners that go against the Japanese style of wrestling, the more athletic, sports-based style of Japanese wrestling. These guys go against that. They're not for that. They're from all kinds of different places, whether it's the US, UK, whatever. So they were kind of the ones that brought that kind of American style of wrestling into New Japan, the interference, the cheating, the foreign objects, referees getting bumped, all kinds of stuff like that. And Jay White and Gato have definitely done a lot of that, since Jay White joined Bullet Club and was paired up with Gato. They've done a lot of things like that. And at times it can, I understand at times it does get a little, it does wear thin a little bit. That over reliance on the manager or the valet or whatever it is. But I think in Jay, when Gato was with Okada, he never really got involved at all in Okada's matches. He had faith in Okada to get the job done on his own. And I think the point being that he doesn't have that same faith in Jay White. That Jay White needs more help than Okada did. But anyway, what you were saying about Jay White. How you were very happy that they didn't take the belt off of Ibushi after one day. Going in, I had a little more faith that they weren't going to do that because it's really not New Japan style. Especially with the heavyweight belt, like there's very few short reigns like that. They usually keep it on the person for a while. There's a few transitional champions, but for the most part, most champions get a longer reign. So I was pretty confident Ibushi was going to retain. But that being said, with that in mind, while I was watching the match, there were plenty of moments where I was like, "Oh God, is he going to win?" The suspense was heavy in that match for sure. Even outside of Gato getting involved, like when Jay hit the Blade Runner and Ibushi kicked out, that was the first time anyone's kicked out of his finisher, out of the Blade Runner. So they really, even though I was fairly confident as a pretty educated New Japan fan that they weren't going to do this, they convinced me otherwise multiple times in this 48-minute match.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But anyway, I still think that was still my favorite match of the whole 2 days. The fact that they went 48 minutes, it felt like 30 minutes tops. That takes a lot of skill. Like you said, Omega and Okada held the record until now. I think they beat him by less than 2 minutes, something like that. It was not a lot at all. But that being said, like they're two very different styles of matches. Okada Omega was a lot more athletic, a lot more pure wrestling kind of Japanese wrestling style, whereas this one had a lot more storytelling, psychology, the heel cheating, all that kind of stuff. There was a more clear heel and babyface in that match. So I really got to say this is probably one of my favorite New Japan matches ever. Was probably this match. Just the fact that it went so long, but it didn't feel long. That there was real suspense, real drama. You really wanted Ibushi to win. Jay White's like a perfect heel. He's so good at it. And they just made magic in that ring. I think everyone should go out of the way to watch this match. They did a fantastic job. Ibushi's thing he does, he's been doing these days where he just embraces the darkness. As I like to say, his face becomes just like stone face. He starts no-selling everyone's offense. He's like just approaching, just kicking the hell out of his opponents, just punching them in the head and kicking them. Like and when he grabbed Gato and just smiled at him before he kneed him in the face, that was that was the scariest thing I've ever seen. Both of them were so great. They had a fantastic main event. And last thing I'll say is I was watching the post-match interviews they do after the show, and Jay White just cut an amazing promo after the match. He came to the press conference. He was at the table with the mic. He was exhausted. He was beaten up. He was emotional. He just went on about how when he came to Japan he didn't see his family for 3 years. He was there. He was working his ass off. He knew what he was capable of. He knew he deserved to be the top guy. He deserved to be the champion. But he's never had the same respect that guys like Okada or Ibushi or Naito had. He's been he basically put it all out on the line. He was talking as himself more than as Jay White, laying it all out, telling his story, why he does what he does, what his motivation is. And he just had an amazing promo. I think everyone should go check it out. But apart from that, just a fantastic match, a great main event, a great way to end a great 2 nights of wrestling.
I will say that, as somebody, a couple of years ago, I just wasn't a fan of Jay White. I'm just like, I'd rather not see him. I don't see the hype in this guy. Last night, erased that. Or just say Wrestle Kingdom, or like a couple nights ago, definitely erase that. Because I'm like, damn, this Jay White can go. Jay White has proved himself. His heel work was spectacular, as you mentioned. And like I said, I think less Gato would have made it look stronger, but it is what it is. But Jay White for me I have done a complete 180 on Jay White, and I said, you know what, good on you, Wolf.
When I first saw Kylo Ren come into New Japan, like in 2018, I just was not interested at all. I mean, frankly, the fact that he didn't really have much of a character except I like knives made it kind of gross and weird, and I don't know if it was like a throwaway line from Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, but there was just nothing interesting about Jay White, like, in the first month. Like, when he beat Kenny Omega, he just seemed like generic heel number 5 with a black leather coat, and he seemed like Baron Corbin to me. It's just like, long-haired guy, management likes, doesn't have much of a character, but we're going to get stuck with him anyway. That all changed like when he joined Bullet Club and he got to some personality. When he won the championship, that was out of nowhere, and that was fun. That was fun for a little bit. Now he's at the point where he's that heel that you hate to see, but you love what they do because he's so good at what he does. He's just so good at pissing you off, at being the bad guy. And it's not like, the heel that you're just tired of seeing. It's the heel that you're tired of seeing win. And that's what you want from a good heel. This is like the right kind of heel for 2021 we're in. See, and here's where Jose is going to do that thing where he goes, I wouldn't have minded if Jay White won. it would have sucked for Ibushi. By all means, it would have been terrible. But and granted, it wouldn't have been like my decision. Like it's not what I would have booked. But if they did it, I wouldn't be that upset with it because if that's the character work we're getting, Ibushi has someone he can go after. He has this skill that robbed him of his moment, and Jay White's on top of the world. No one can stop him. Let's all get behind Ibushi. That's like the perfect heel versus face. But I'm so happy that Ibushi had his moment. I'm not taking questions from the audience. I'm not sure.
No, you're right. I absolutely agree with you. It's like it reminded me of last year.
Do not restart computer. God.
I know a lot of people were frustrated with Kenta interrupting Naito last year after he won his title. I think that's just what I've been worried about. And in this, and that was at the end of night 2. Having this happen, like and losing the title night, I think would have been would have been like again, I guess somebody doesn't follow New Japan religiously, like even as somebody that doesn't, I think it would have been just such an ugly blow and such a like sour taste in your tongue that you're like, really?
There's a difference. There's a difference between the two moments, if you ask me. Like with last year, yeah, Naito didn't get his moment, but was more about that was like the final thing that changed him from Hideo Itami that failed in WWE to the Kenta that is going to piss you off, take your moment, and give you the middle finger on the way out. Mm-hmm. And, it didn't really amount to him getting a reign, but it established Kenta as someone, that can be at the top of the picture. And I'm so excited. Like, we've been waiting forever. We're going to keep waiting, but I'm really excited to Kenta versus Moxley as opposed to Hideo Itami versus Dean Ambrose. But going back to like what we're saying here, Jay White is a really effective heel. I don't even necessarily mind Gato because I don't know. It's something about it fits a little bit more than Bea Priestley does. I'm not, that just feels weird to say. But, it's kind of a longer story that Gato has been involved, and he did turn. And like you said, he was involved with Okada, and he just doesn't see the same thing in Jay White that he saw with Okada, and that's part of the overarching story. With Bea Priestley, it kind of feels like, Ospreay just needs to bring somebody in. Okay, yeah, we're doing this. All right, whatever.
See, I'm not saying that Gato doesn't fit. I think Gato absolutely fits. Again, from what I saw this past week, it was like, okay, like it works. I just wish I saw a little bit less because the match was getting really good and the match hit its pace. The match found its groove, and then he reached a big climax, and then boom, hey, it's Gato. And then he got like need, or I forgot it was need to like 2022. So from that point I was happy. It was like, okay, good, all right, we got rid of him. Thank God. It was a good feel good moment. But I feel like we could have done the feel-good moment a little bit earlier with less of it. And, Lex, you were going to say one more point before we wrap this up.
I was?
Were you? Going once? Going twice? Maybe not? Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry, I thought you were
100% bullshit around here.
So I get out of 5 for night 2. I'm going to go say 4 here. I'm going to say 4 on night 2. Lex?
I agree, but I'm kind of in the opposite as you. I say I would give night 1 a 4 and night 2 a 4.5. I think that main event really just pushed it into the upper echelon. I think last year night 1 was definitely better than night 2, but this year I think night 2 definitely was the better night. Bigger matches. I think that main event I think was. As great as Okada Ospreay was, I think that main event really kind of blew it out of the water in a lot of ways. So I would say 4.5 for night 2.
Wolf?
I'm going to say 4.5 for night 2, but that's bearing in mind I only saw like 2 or 3 matches from it.
Yeah.
So I guess like just to wrap this up, I think as a whole, I think I can say Wrestle Kingdom 15 as in general. I say it was a 4.25 out of 5. If I had to combine my totals and make an average out of it, but I am saying, and I feel like I've seen a lot on the reaction that night 2 was better. I feel like I'm in the minority when I say the night 1 edges night 2, not by a lot though, not by like a ton, like an inch ahead of night 2. Lex, your final overall, and you're obviously saying night 2 is better, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to go into, I guess Wrestling Observer specificity of corner stars and everything, I'd probably give the whole event a 4.5. I know there were some matches on the show that didn't really feel Wrestle Kingdom worthy. I remember. I remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say that what you were saying about having Jay White win at the end would have left a bad taste in the mouth. I think definitely. I agree with that, and the fact that it's 2021, supposed to be a better year than last year. They want to. I think having it end on a good note after the year that everyone's had, I think was definitely the right move. Have to feel good, under 38-year-old underdog babyface, come out with the win. So that was definitely the right move. So I'd give the whole 2 nights. I'd probably give the whole thing a 4.5. There were some matches, like you said, Evil Sonata, Tanahashi Okan was kind of, there. The junior heavyweight title match was sort of there. The Rambo was just dumb fun. And so there were because of the pandemic, they couldn't have all the top stars like Moxley and them in there. That would have probably pushed it up a little bit. But for what it was, I think they did a very good job. It still felt like Wrestle Kingdom, despite the minimized crowd, the lack of substantial crowd noise. I think they still did a very good job with making it feel like a post 2020 Wrestle Kingdom, a post pandemic Wrestle Kingdom. I think they made the most out of what they had and did a very good job.
Wolf?
Definitely the best they could with what they had. That's what I can say. It wasn't fully engaging. I did fall asleep during a lot of it, but that's also due to the fact it was 4 a.m. Shout out to the British people that stay up for Monday Night Raw every week. But I enjoyed the show for what it was. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5.
So this is the one time, the rare few times of the year where us North Americans, 2 New Yorkers and a Canadian, where we cannot say a damn word to the British.
Nope.
Not a damn thing. I can't wait for WrestleMania though. Let's move on to so now that we're after Wrestle Kingdom, there is one more topic that I want to discuss. That I sent the introduction. It was a Sports Illustrated article that came out on New Year's Day, January 1st. Sports Illustrated interviewed Okada ahead of Wrestle Kingdom 15 and whatnot, and Okada touched the subject of the fans, of the energy, how important it's going to be for them to have the fans there at the Tokyo Dome. Then he said something that piqued a lot of interest from a lot of people. I know Lex was a bit surprised when I sent the quotes in the group. I know Wolf missed it out, so here it is. Okada, and this, I'm going to quote right now Sports Illustrated. So from the article, Okada wants the wrestling world to unite in the new year, showing solidarity and a commitment to fans by creating a never-before-seen super show that would rock the core of the entire industry. And Okada's quote is saying, "Times are tough now, but I hope what we do will bring joy to everyone around all over the world and give them enough strength and positivity to do their best the next day. And when the world calms down, I would like to give back with other wrestling companies to all wrestling fans in the world who still support us even in this current situation. New Japan, WWE, AEW, CMLL, and AAA altogether. Sounds pretty cool, don't you think?" End quote. And so now this is where I open the discussion to you guys. Obviously, when it comes, if fantasy doesn't even begin to describe what Okada wants, this is literally out of this world. And when I mean literally out of this world, is that that as soon as I listed those company names, one of them, for a damn fact, would say hell no. and I'm going to get into why they would say hell no. But Wolf, let's start with you on this. Your thoughts on the quote? Your thoughts on
Well, immediately after hearing that quote, my first takeaway is that it's clear that no one on Earth watches Impact. But it's a nice thought, it's never going to happen. Granted, there's a chance I'll be eating my words when we do this again a year from now. But it's a really nice thought, and immediately I want MJF versus The Miz. I want Okada versus Orton. I want Naito versus anyone. It's a really nice thought. I don't see a very likely scenario in which it does happen, but I like the idea.
Lex?
Okay. So I'll go off a little bit for a second. When we first started hearing about AEW, when the rumors about what AEW was going to be first started to circulate, my, I guess, very high-reaching fantasy for what it could be was hopefully some kind like if they could use their reach, the people in charge of AEW, to go out to Ring of Honor, Impact, Mexico, CMLL, AAA, New Japan, like bring all these smaller promotions together and put together like a joint like super card kind of show, like almost like a modern day NWA was kind of what I was. It was overly optimistic, but it was what I was kind of envisioning, especially after All In. All In is why I started to have those thoughts, because you had Okada on the show, you had the Ring of Honor Championship being defended, you had all the NWA Championship being defended. Like it was an amalgamation of a lot of different companies throwing their hats into the mix, putting together this really great card. And I thought, like, if they could keep that going with AEW, if they could do more stuff like that, that would really be something else. That would really be something to compete with WWE on a grand scale, on a production level, And like you said, one of the companies certainly isn't going to be down for that. WWE, we know how Vince McMahon is. They want to stay in their bubble. They want to keep everyone in their sphere of influence. They don't like bringing in outside elements they can't control, and like with any cross promotion wrestling thing, it always happens. Egos get in the way. People don't want to lose. People don't want to be seen as weak. Companies, individuals, all kinds of stuff. And so it's a very optimistic dream that Okada has. After his match with Ospreay, I watched his interview afterwards, where he said that his main goal as a pro wrestler is he wants to bring more non-pro wrestling fans. He basically wants to create more. Bless you. Okada said that his ultimate goal at the end of the day is to make the wrestling business as successful and as big as it possibly can be. Yeah. He wants to be able to bring more non-wrestling fans into the wrestling world. He wants to reach out to people who might not like wrestling, and just improve the business as a whole, not just New Japan's but everyone else's. And this definitely falls in line with that. I think Okada's goal at the end of the day is he wants as many people as possible to be watching pro wrestling. He wants to show everyone, why it's such a great form of entertainment. Why it's people even in the modern day, people still travel hundreds of miles to see pro wrestling, to go to the big shows. And I think that's Okada's goal at the end of the day. And this would definitely go a long way as to achieving that goal. As we are now, I can't really say I see it as anything more than just a nice sentiment by a very successful, a very talented man. I don't know that we're ever going to see that happen. I don't have much optimism that we will. But it was certainly an interesting thought. And one day, if we can get a big, multi-promotion joint supercard show, that gets all kinds of people involved in it, who get to see what pro wrestling is in 2021, that would, that can only be a good thing. That could only be a good thing for, every promotion out there, to get out there and really, show why pro wrestling is so great. And I'd like to see it. I just don't know if or when we'll ever see it.
Well, you just used half of my points. No, but seriously, but in all seriousness, you do cover a lot of great points that I was going to cover. I damaged my notebook. Number one. Number one. It's the booking. Just the booking alone. Who like you get? Let's say you get all these companies to come together and say, okay, I want Okada to go to beat Roman Reigns. You're gonna have Vince McMahon and be like, I beg your freaking pardon. That's Roman. That's the big dog, right? Or if Roman were to take on Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega just started the belt collector gimmick. He's gonna be like, excuse you, this is the man who wants to claim every title in the world. Can you please let him win? In fact, let him take your Universal title, right? It's a big mess, I think you will be stuck on that phase alone when it comes to this thing. Now, I'm gonna now think business-wise, business mogul. All right, let's say you select AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, the home of WrestleMania 32, 100,000 plus. Yes, it can actually fit 100,000 plus in that stadium. You every company wins if you were to say, hey, we're doing a super mega show at AT&T Stadium, Reigns versus Okada main event. Tickets are not available. I'm pretty sure you'll get fans all over the world, and you will get a legitimate sellout. I mean, I know WrestleMania sells out. I know sometimes there are a couple of empty seats. I'm convinced that a show of this magnitude, if you bring in your Japanese talent, if you get your AEW talent, your Mexican, whatever, you get a legitimate sellout show. No doubt about it.
Bold of you to assume Yano wouldn't main event.
My 5,000 yen, man. God, I 5,000 yen. But seriously, I mean, I think like I do think that no matter where you host it, I mean, my assumption would be North America for time versus I don't know. It's hard to book it, but I think you turn this event into essentially like a WrestleMania week, or in better terms, a Super Bowl week. You promote the heck out of it like crazy, like what WrestleMania does Monday to Sunday, or Monday to Monday technically, with Monday Night Raw at the end of it all, right? Yeah, you have big events, you could make it work. But that was also another point that when I first heard, again, that Lex brought up, that when I first heard this quote, it's like the WWF in the 90s, I think were nearly mainstream because of talent like The Rock, because of talent like Stone Cold, but because people knew, for example, the first day of school in grade 5, all right? This is going to it's random, but hear me out. There is a connection. First day of school in grade 5, my teacher's going around, okay, who likes this, who like that? Okay, who likes wrestling, but not the WWE? Or like, how dare you? And then all the guys are talking about WWE, and then like she had to calm the class down because the class was pumped up about WWE.
Mhm.
She's as if like it was like the most disgusting thing on the planet. Everybody knew the WWE because of like what they were, their intensity, their hardcore, and obviously it died down today. And yes, there are no big stars as The Rock. I know Roman is big. I know you have your big WWE stars today, but those WWE stars are never and may never ever get to the magnitude of The Rock, of Stone Cold, of Hulk Hogan, of even John Cena. That I feel like we barely need to touch like the waters there, right? I'm worried that with this event, with all these companies amalgamated into one, you're only going to get the pure wrestling fans. I mean, I would be pumped to see Okada versus Reigns. I wouldn't put him against Randy Orton. No, give Randy Orton Naito. Hell no. Like Okada, Roman Reigns, I think legitimately would be a good match. I think it would be. That's who I would put Okada against. But that's besides the point, right? The point is, I think only the purest of wrestling fans will get involved in this. I have no idea how you promote this into a worldwide magnitude thing. Your best bet is to do the WrestleMania 1 approach, is then you team up with like an MTV, for example, and then have like The Rock and Wrestling Connection, and just throw a whole bunch of celebrities in there. Get your Liberachis, get your Mr. T's, get your Billy Martins and all that stuff, right? Get celebrities involved to get hyped about this. It's what WrestleMania does every year. You have to include a whole bunch of stars, I think, if you want it on a worldwide level. And I don't think it ever will. I don't think it ever will, even if you were to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what I think they should do. What you just said, what they do nowadays, advertise The Rock, advertise, Steve Austin.
You have to. That was my...
Like I remember my friend, like someone I know, telling me like, do you know how insane Hulkamania was back in the day? Like you would walk.
Yes, we all know.
You would walk down the street and there'd be people going, "Yo, Hulkamania!" Like.
I mean, look. I mean, and let's face it. When Wolf and I were at WrestleMania, one of the biggest pops of the night was Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
It was Hogan. I know Hogan is not the most popular guy anymore because of his outside of the ring stuff, and rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. I'm not justifying it, but you hear the music, you get a pop. Right, and that's the thing, right? I mean, like, if WWE were to be involved, if I'm Vince, I'm calling the phone. Listen, I need you in a match against Omega. Just do it. I need you. I need the money for this. Go pin Omega. I don't know. You need to bring in you're gonna have to maybe pull a Saudi Arabia and get everybody out of retirement. Get like who's that one person that's never got slipped out of retirement? Like Goldberg to never come out of retirement. And then you put him in this match against like Okada, boom. You get. I just wanted to see Wolf bitch, and it worked.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're probably right about that. There's not nearly as many wrestling fans now as there were back in the day. It's not mainstream anymore. People don't take it as seriously as they used to. We're not in the days of territories and Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan or San Martino. Like those days are long since past. But we could get into a whole thing of like, is it WWE's fault? Is it the way they manage their stars? Is it the way they present their stars to blame? Is it just because, there's less empathy portrayed as like legitimate, as, as the people in it being portrayed as real people? That's a whole other conversation. But to me, I think, dream matches aside, the real, I guess, dream or goal for me at least is like, imagine going to a big stadium like SoFi or like, the AT&T Stadium, whatever it is. Imagine like the pictures, not of the matches, but of the stands, of the outside area, of the people coming into the arena, people in like, dressed as John Cena, people wearing WWE shirts, people wearing AEW shirts, wearing New Japan shirts, CL Milan, AAA, Impact, Ring of Honor, whatever it is. Like, seeing the visual of just people from all over the world, people who love this kind of wrestling, who love this kind of wrestling, whatever it is, all of them just coming together, for this one big show where, everyone gets a chance, everyone gets a chance in the spotlight, everyone gets a chance to shine, and you just get to see, the entertainment genre that you love, being presented at the highest level, at the highest stage, with all kinds of people. That to me, I think is the dream. Because there's so much, with the recent tragic events that have happened to the wrestling community. The tribalism in wrestling, I think, is worse than it ever has been. You see all kinds of people still presenting this, toxic argument that it's still us versus them. These people are still bad. These people can't do this right. Yada yada yada. And I think like, whether it is in a big supercard show or whether it's coming together to celebrate someone's life, unity among wrestling fans is, I think, the dream at the end of the day, because once you have that, you have fewer people boycotting certain shows or certain people or whatever it is. You have people just coming together and bonding over the entertainment genre, entertainment style, whatever it is that they love and they love to see and they love to watch. And I think at the end of the day, that's what that's Okada's point, and that's what you really want to have. Yeah. That's the end goal.
Wolf, any final points before we wrap up for the day?
Don't ever talk about Bill Goldberg in front of me. I lost all of what Lex was saying. I can't stand Bill Goldberg. Don't make me think about Bill freaking Goldberg.
I hate to be that guy. We are approaching the Royal Rumble.
Stop it.
We're not going to talk about kayfabe. Other than...
I just killed a fly with my bare hands. That's how much I hate Bill freaking Goldberg.
Other than we are close to the Royal Rumble. Anyways, gentlemen, thank you so much as always for being a part of here. Thank you for being part of the first episode of 2021. May our journeys be. Are you sanitizing here? Whatever.
I just told you I killed a fly. Damn it!
Thank you guys, and as always, let's get to the closing.
You made it to the end of the episode. You made it at the end, and I just want to take this time to apologize because, it's the first one of the year, and of course, when you get back into it, even the smallest breaks, you have a little flaw, and I only realized now, or a few days after taping, in the middle of the edit, that my microphone, the Blue Yeti that I have, was not recorded into the program that we use to tape our discussions, and you got the microphone from the webcam, which I guess didn't sound too bad, but we will have better audio, or I will have better audio next week. So I apologize for that. Not the way I wanted to start the new year, but here we are. And speaking of next week, we sit down and discuss what we think is going to happen in 2021. We are making bold predictions because that's all that we do on this podcast to begin with. We're going to sit down and see what do we expect from 2021, what we think may happen in 2021 across the world of wrestling, WWE, New Japan, AEW, etc., etc. So we are excited to get into that. It is Rumble season after all, so that'll be another episode on the road to the Royal Rumble. And as always, that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. I'm Jose Taboada, and we will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye.